Sagrajo Designs, a subsidiary of Sagrajo Consumables.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, boys and gentlemen, people that love me back, I will take you there. Lagos to Benin.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our beginners online class. Today we shall be considering on the factors to be considered in bag making. Yes, in any business one need to do, the person need to first of all identify problem facing the business before he or she will be able to excel in it. So we are going to be using an example of lunch basket and a lunch bag. Yes, before now people have been using this lunch basket posted here to put their children's food and what have you for their lunch. But later on, the need for the food to be kept warm for a longer time was being expected by the customers. I guess that's why this need to be produced. So having known that, the customers or the producers went ahead in producing lunch bags so as to be able to satisfy the customers' problem. That's problem identification. So being able to identify problems will aid you in your production. So we shall be looking into different factors to be considered. So the number one thing you need to do is to identify problem. After problem identification, the next angle we shall be looking into will be from the angle of the producer. You know, in any business you have where the product or services come from, which we will assume as the producer, and where the services or our product goes to, which are the consumers. So we shall be looking at the angle of the producers now. What to be considered, factors to be considered at the side of the producers rather. So number one thing we need to look at the side of the producer is the raw materials. So now the raw materials I'm talking about are those materials needed in your production. Yes, these are the raw materials. So in the case of this lunch bag, having identified using lunch basket and lunch bag as problem being identified, so we are still going to use it to run through our lesson for today. So now you have to source for raw material. This is the next thing as a producer you need to consider first. These raw materials I'm going to use in producing this lunch bag that I have identified as a problem facing my consumers. Is it costly? That's the number one point under raw material. Is it costly? If it is costly, if I use it to produce, will my consumers be able to purchase it based on the high cost? How do I get a lesser the materials that are cheaper so as to make my customers to be able to buy them? Now, the raw materials you are searching for, is it available? Can I easily find them whenever I need them? Will my location permit me to find them? Are they present in my location, or do I need to travel a very long distance to get them? This is the next consideration. Now, if I need to travel a long distance to get them, will it not affect the cost of production or my cost of production? Or do I need to change location in order to be able to get this raw material? These are the things you need to consider. Now, the next thing is accessibility. Yes, the raw material may be there, but at the end of the day, will you be able to access them? For example, if you are starting, there are some people that sell in bulk. So if you are just a starter and then you want to go and buy, being a starter, you may not have the needed capital to buy in bulk, just like others. Now, will it not affect your production? Accessibility is the next thing you need to consider in bag making. Or do I need to go to another place, just as we talked under availability? So we have talked under raw materials. We have talked on the cost of the raw material, the availability, and the accessibility. Now, the next thing is that the raw materials I've been able to find, is it durable? Will it be durable for me to use in my production? Will it be durable, or will it be something that when I use it, before you know it, the material will just make my product fade out or to get spoiled? So this you are also relating this to your customers. Now, my customers, because there is a place that you be, those are the people there, or your customers may not care about the quality. What they are just after is the price, the low price, and let it just be beautiful. That's all. Like the place I started this work in the northern part, I'm sorry to say, they don't really like quality things. When once the thing is flashy and then it is affordable, they just go for it. So if you are in such place, then you don't have anything to worry about durability. Just get the cheapest one and do for them. But if you are in a place that they are after quality, then you need to consider durability of the raw materials you are going to use in your production. Most times you may find the materials that are okay, and then what you use in sewing them, like the thread, are they of good quality that if I use them, it will not make my product to be pulling out. So these are the things you need to consider, okay, under raw materials as a producer. Now, being able to source out the raw materials as a producer and being able to acquire them and start your production, it doesn't stop there. The next thing as a producer you need to consider is how to sell them. How do I sell this my product to my final consumers? Do I need to bring in the middlemen in my chain, or do I need to sell it to them directly? When do I need to sell them? You know, some of these products they have when they move, when your consumers will need them. For example, this lunch bag may be needed when the school just resumed. By then, parents will be wanting to replace the old ones that they have, or will want to buy new ones for their children. During holiday, they may not necessarily need it, but when resumption comes, they will now start purchasing them. So you have to consider, when am I going to sell this, and when am I going to produce, so that when the time for selling comes, I'll be able to sell without keeping my customers waiting for production. That's under sell. And then the next thing is, after though we should have discussed production before sell. How do you produce it? How do you produce it? So you also consider your consumers as well. Having identified the problem, which design would they likely? Yes, the design, the color, and other stuff that you need to consider in your production, because after producing, you will not be the one to make use of it. Your customers will be the ones to make use of it. So you always consider your customers, your consumers. So these are what you need to consider in producing or in bag making, and they can be related in other businesses as well. They can be related in other businesses as well. So this is how far we can go. I would like you to subscribe, like, share, hit on the notification button for more videos. Thank you. Sagrajo Designs, a subsidiary of Sagrajo Consumables.